Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. This is episode 2 in our live series. We're here with Phil Sharp from OceansLab. My name is Andres Guzman, and I head up sustainability for Colliers UK. And I'm delighted to have Phil with us today. Phil is a leading professional skipper. He has many world records and world championships under his belt. Also a Guinness record, as I understand. But if that wasn't enough, Phil is also the CTO and co-founder of Oceans Lab, and perhaps with Oceans Lab, Phil is running one of the toughest races, which is the race against carbon emissions. So, Phil, welcome. And do you want to maybe set the scene and tell us what Oceans Lab mission is about, and how we might put that in the context of a net zero journey?
Yeah, hi. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here to talk to you about energy, technology, and sustainability. To give you a bit of background about Oceans Lab, our mission is to pioneer what we believe to be a critical clean technology through the toughest ocean races. I myself, as an offshore skipper, I'm very passionate about us accelerating uptake of clean tech, particularly for oceans health and maritime transport. And our project Oceans Lab is effectively to demonstrate this technology is highly reliable, that it can perform as well as the base traditional fossil fuels that we all use today, and that this technology is really here now. It's not in the future, but to bring it into the present and to demonstrate to people that this technology works, and to increase confidence for people to start using this clean tech today.
Great. So you were speaking to Helen last week on our Instagram Live about some of the innovations around the technologies, the renewable technologies that you are implementing. Can you tell us about the latest one in your boat?
So we're really working very heavily on hydrogen fuel cell technology, as we believe this is very scalable technology that is going to be absolutely critical to decarbonising transport. Now, a lot of people are talking about hydrogen now in the energy sector and the transport sector, and effectively it's going to be a very crucial technology for heavy transport in particular. Whereas batteries are quite good on small scale applications, like in cars, when you have a personal car, you might want to go a couple of hours down the road. Batteries are great for that. But when you actually look into larger vehicles and for longer ranges, then batteries don't make sense anymore. They don't become practical because they're too expensive, they're too heavy. So really, hydrogen is going to be an absolutely critical resource for us to decarbonize heavy transport, as it's what hydrogen is. It's a very light, very energy dense gas, but what's incredible about it, it can actually be generated from renewable energy. So hydrogen actually can be produced via electrolysis next to a wind farm or a solar farm, to create this fuel from renewable electricity. So what you end up with is a decarbonized, a green fuel, which we actually call green hydrogen, and that can then be used to power transport through generating electricity in a fuel cell, and the emissions you get out of that are zero. The only thing you create when you react hydrogen in a fuel cell with air is water. So it has a huge potential to replace the fossil fuels that we use today with a zero emissions green fuel that is created from renewable electricity, and that has enormous scalability potential. Effectively, the larger quantities you create, and the more scalable, the cheaper the cost of the fuel. And indeed, people are looking at this as a fuel that could undercut all fossil fuels by 2030, and even to reduce the for the cost to actually reduce 70 to 80% over the next 5 years. So it's a very exciting time for hydrogen. It's really just started to develop over the last 12, 18 months. The hydrogen industry has gained a lot of momentum, but it's going to be very, very critical in order for us to get to net zero. The final third of our energy footprint is going to be very tricky, and really we're starting to see, the world is starting to see that hydrogen is going to be necessary for us to get all the way down to address this very tough last third of our carbon footprint in order for us to reach net zero.
Yeah, sure. So it seems like we're seeing a bit of a revival of hydrogen, and based on what you just said, it could be a good complement to electricity, because we can store it, we can move it, long distances. But why now? I mean, we have some like a few reports, like the CCC report on climate change talked about hydrogen, but you mentioned, the automotive sector is placed its bets on battery technology. I assume at the same time they are also looking at hydrogen. So the scalability is something that we definitely need in that journey to achieve net zero. How do you see hydrogen taking a more impactful role in that journey going forward?
I think, I think, yeah, as I said, so governments recognise now that it's going to be critical, but it is also, it's going to be absolutely necessary for us to use this as a stationary fuel resource for decarbonising industry, for decarbonising homes, as well as for transport. But the fact of the matter is, there's been a lack of investment and a lack of realization of the importance of this fuel in the past. It's still expensive technology, and it really relies on a lot of investment and economies of scale to drive down the cost. And I think people have only started to really think seriously and invest seriously, given really the visibility around the climate emergency we're now facing. And it's fair to say that we really need to have a price on carbon, to have carbon tax and policies to actually drive forward the uptake of this technology, because we realise that batteries alone cannot do this. There's big issues that arise around the scalability, the cost of batteries at scale. And although it can be great for short-term temporary storage, when you're looking at long-term large storage, then we need to find another solution. Yeah,
of course. Great. So can you tell us a bit about the safety around hydrogen? I mean, I suppose no fuel can be deemed safe, but I suppose can the risks be managed, and how has the industry responded to make sure that customers are having a good and credible view of the fuel?
Yeah, well, I mean, first it might be good to sort of paint a bit of a picture on what we're developing for marine, because I myself, I'm an engineer, and I really was quite passionate about trying to get involved in creating some actual solutions for replacing diesel systems in vessels. And so what we've effectively created is a fuel cell module that can replace a traditional diesel or petrol engine that pretty much every vessel has in it today, with a fuel cell which uses the hydrogen. It creates electricity in the vessel, like a high power electricity, and then that can be used in propulsion systems, for which vessels are switching quite quickly to electric propulsion. And yeah, we're planning to demonstrate this at small scale initially. We have an 8 kilowatt prototype system, and yeah, as I said, the only emissions you get from that is water. So it's a completely clean solution.
Can you even drink that water?
Yeah, I mean, if you condense it, then it is the purest form of water you can get. I mean, it's literally H2O, so it has very little impurities. And I think they even did a trial on a train where they actually had a water dispenser at the end of the fuel cell. So you could. I don't know if the water was really that tasty. I guess it's like drinking distilled water. But yeah, it can be done. And yeah, there's been a lot of questions over, how do you get this technology into a boat, and is hydrogen safe? Well, there's actually, it's not a new technology. This technology has been around for some 50 years. The first Apollo missions used fuel cells, and hydrogen has been used as a fuel for many years. In fact, 50 years ago, a large percentage of the gas we used to heat our homes was in fact hydrogen. It was a big mix of in the town gas constituents. So it's not a new technology, and recently there's been a lot of regulation to put this in place. We now have hydrogen cars on the road that have been commercialized by Toyota and Hyundai. There's been a lot of stringent certification around that, and it's really important to, if you're creating a hydrogen product, to follow the regulation and procedures in order to ensure that you're in line with the latest regulation. So yeah, having hydrogen and fuel cells on land and taking them offshore is definitely a more challenging process, but we're going through that right now and assuring that we can be in line with all those procedures.
Fantastic. So I mean, you mentioned we've used hydrogen in the past for heating, and we could be using the same infrastructure that we have right now for gas, to maybe blend some of the hydrogen, or to go full hydrogen. So moving into the potential applications and the potential for cross industry learning, where do you see the benefit of hydrogen in the property sector?
Well, for us to reach net zero, there's an enormous challenge that we have to tackle, and that is home heating. Now, electricity is one thing, but the heating of homes is actually responsible for between a quarter and a third of the total carbon footprint of the UK, which is absolutely enormous. I mean, who would have really thought that home heating would be so much a deal, and it often gets overlooked by electricity. But what is very exciting is the opportunity that we can actually use hydrogen to replace natural gas that currently heats 85% of UK homes. So it's an enormously important network and fuel that we rely on. And to actually decarbonize this with green hydrogen that's created from renewables, that is injected into the gas network, and that is something that is undergoing trials at the moment, and something that could realistically happen over the next 5 years. And what is interesting is that we have this network already in place. Although hydrogen has a problem with the embrittlement of metal pipes, we're actually replacing a lot of the gas pipes with polyethylene plastic pipes, is the yellow pipes that you might have seen being dug into the ground in roadworks, and hydrogen is very compatible with that. So this could be a very important way in order that we can move homes, residential, towards net zero, as this last, as I say, this last third, this last quarter, which is heat, is very difficult to find in order to find a green solution to address. So this is one really fantastic opportunity that we have to use hydrogen and to move towards net zero homes in the future.
Thanks. So I understand that you were recently in the Maritime Transport Efficiency Conference in Geneva with your fuel cell power vessel, and now you're aiming to go around the world racing with the fuel cell as well. So what's the agenda and what's next for you?
Yeah, well, we've just released our hydrogen power module officially, and we launched this at the Maritime Efficiency Conference in Geneva, which was a new European efficiency hub for the shipping industry. And it was firstly really interesting to see just the amount of talk and discussion around hydrogen. People really from beginning to end, there was a lot of interest in our fuel cell technology, and it's clear that people are really looking for solutions now. People really need solutions. There's now regulation that's come into the maritime sector that are encouraging people to decarbonize fully by 2050. These regulations actually need to be accelerated somewhat from what is initially been prescribed, but there's a lot of interest now for people to get serious, and decarbonizing shipping is a massive ordeal. It's all very well creating developing a car which lasts sort of 5 to 10 years, but a ship lasts 20 to 30 years. So if you want to actually get a clean solution by 2050, then you really need to be introducing zero emission vessels by 2030, which is not far away. So to the scale of the operation is enormous, and it's really important that there are demonstrators, there are small scale products like OceansLab that can show that this technology is real, that we can put this in a boat and we can have a zero emission solution today that is operational, that's reliable. And what we want to do is take this technology around the world. So our project OceansLab will endeavor to be the first hydrogen yacht around the world. We want to show that this technology can be as high performance and as low weight as fossil fuels, but also we can find a very low carbon solution to address what is a huge global problem, and that is how we reach full net zero in line with our climate change targets. And in taking this technology around the world, we believe it could be a really important, a really fantastic showcase of what is possible, to highlight the fact that nations really need to drive for policy to encourage the uptake of hydrogen and fuel cells, if we're going to stand a chance of addressing what is effectively a climate emergency.
Make the comment on the timeframes, because that's really important. You know what you said about, if we want to achieve net zero future by 2050, we need to start acting basically now, and we need to have vessels by 2030. I think that's really important to
absolutely. I mean, I guess the same goes for any industry really, because it takes a long time to get this technology, quite a long time to get this technology in place, and it's not a case of just being, actually making the process of starting takes to actually demonstrate the technology needs to really be done in the next decades, because decisions need to be made, and technology needs to be put in place at scale, and that needs to be started ready by 2030, because exactly. It's going to take 10, 15 years for people to adopt easily.
Yeah, no, and we need to do the same thing in the property sector. If we want buildings to really be net zero or zero carbon by 2050, we need to at least stop making the problem worse. So any new building that is put up will hopefully need to be net zero in the next 5 years or so. But legislation is not quite there yet, and it seems like in the case of hydrogen, is a topic that has been on the periphery of legislation, but now that we have examples like yours and all the applications across other industries, it seems like it is now the time to think of hydrogen as the low carbon fuel of the future.
Yeah, and I think it's important choices. well, important decisions for developers to make. So, you know, do they install their houses with boilers that can switch to hydrogen later on? So there's actually manufacturers now of hydrogen boilers which can use natural gas now, and with some modifications, small modifications to the boiler, that will then be able to run with hydrogen in the future. So having this technology actually integrated at an early stage could be really beneficial, because that can cut down on the capex long term.
Yeah, of course, and all the and in terms of carbon, all the embodied carbon that comes with replacing an entire system. You know, when you go from a boiler to a VRF, you know, to a localized electric system, there's a lot of you know, carbon that has been emitted in producing, you know, those plant elements in the first place. So Phil, it's been really interesting, you know, having you here. For anyone who wants to follow Phil's journey, Colliers are proud sponsors of Phil, so you can just tune into our social media channels. Do follow Phil and do follow OceansLab. Phil, thanks again, and hope to see you soon.
It's been a pleasure, and look forward to catching up soon for an update on the technology.
Great stuff. Okay, bye
Take
everyone.
care.
Until the next one.
Cheers. Bye-bye.